Welcome back to AFTV, everyone. Welcome back to the Tactical Insight Show. What a win for Arsenal against Man City. I am here to break it down. But not just me. You thought it was just me because of all the previous weeks. Welcome back to Graham. He's back on the show. We have missed you with the I Love New York t-shirt, which gives you a little bit of a clue as to where he's been. Welcome back to the show, Graham.
Well, it's great to be back, James. And yes, I had a fantastic time in America. Did Washington first, then up to New York, on to Niagara into Canada. Drove all the way from New York up to Niagara, then back to Long Island for the last part of the holiday.
Wow.
I just want to say the love that this show has in America. The moment I arrived in New York, a guy recognised me straight away from AFTV.
That's incredible.
And I had so many messages on Twitter saying, "What are you doing? Can you get down to Tennessee? Can you get to Atlanta?" You know, and I said, "It's a 9-hour drive." And he says, "Don't worry about it. There's nothing in America." But the love I had out there on my social media, people I met, I was overwhelmed, and many thanks to all the many American Gooners who took the time to say hello to me and messaged me. I'm sorry if I missed a few people I couldn't get back to, but it's great to be back. Absolutely great to be back with a win, James.
Well, I mean, you couldn't have picked a better match and result.
I was there in the stadium.
Of course, I mean, because you landed back last Wednesday, you managed to get back, and you said the Emirates atmosphere and the celebration for the goal was it probably even topped anything we saw with the Man United late win or anything. I mean, my brother was at the game. He said he's never seen the Emirates like that. Yeah. Truly erupted in what was a huge moment.
It was. I thought, you know, the Declan Rice goal against Man United, the eruption that day was absolutely unbelievable, but that topped even this. And it was an absolutely unbelievable moment. It was a great game of football, albeit not what I would call an attacking great game of football.
Not an entertaining
Not an entertaining game, but it was, as you're going to say, and you said it really well today when I arrived and I saw you, you said it was more like a game of chess, and it was, between these two managers. And in the end, Arteta got the better of him. And I think Arteta really grew in this game as a manager, James. I thought the team were disciplined, mature. We had no Saka, of course. Martinelli and Partey were only fit for the bench. But we, as I said, we were disciplined, mature, very concentrated, focused, made sure we didn't make the errors. And we limited City to just 4 attempts at goal, their lowest return since 2010, which I think was absolutely brilliant. And I think we deserved the luck of the deflection for the winner, because I know we don't like talking about referees, but you have to, I'm afraid. But that tackle by Kovacic through the back of Odegaard was a straight red for me. Yeah,
and the second tackle was I mean, that was as strong a yellow as you'll ever see as well. But we're going to give time to all that a little bit, because I know you want to have your say. I've more than ranted, but we must talk about the PGMOL at some point. Let's just go through some context into this game. Rodri and De Bruyne are missing. Partey not fit to start. Martinelli not fit to start. Bukayo Saka injured. A lot of rumours he was going to be available. Looks like Arsenal were, we keep saying playing chess, but maybe we're playing a little bit of poker with the media as well. Arteta played a lot of games this week. And here's some other context. The previous 12 Premier League results against City, and you sent these over, and it's just so staggering. Lost all of the last 12. Look at some of these scores. Lots of threes in there. 3-1, 3-0, 3-1, 3-0, 3-0. A 5-0 in there. A 4-1 last season at the Etihad, and what was a massive one for the title race. There was a massive psychological hurdle for these Arsenal players to overcome, not just because they're so scarred by what City have done to them over the last few years, 5-6 years or whatever it is, 2015 the last time we beat them in the league, but also because they needed to, if you're to win the league, if you're to be the best, I believe in this phrase, you've got to beat the best. And we finally have.
It's really what undid us last season, isn't it, James? The fact that we lost the 2 league games to them. We lost by 5 points last season, and we lost the 2 league games to them. So it's very important that you don't lose, 2 league games to them. It's 6 points. It's a massive swing.
And also, sorry to just touch on that, people, it's not even just about losing the 2. It's the fact that we even lost 1 of them, because even though we lost by 5 points, win the Emirates game, we got 3 points more. They got 3 less. That makes up the 5 difference. So it was all about getting that 1 win, at least at the Emirates, and we did it.
We did, and I think Arteta's really learnt now from the past games against Man City. Our record against them, not just that we've lost 12 straight games going into this, we haven't beaten them since December 2015 when we beat them 2-1 when Wenger was manager. And last year we lost both games. We lost 3-1 at home, 4-1 away. I thought the way we set up in both those games, we made errors in the first game that cost us the game. But the second game, we really did high press. And they played over our press to Haaland, and Kevin De Bruyne made hay from Haaland's flick-ons. And that we were just over-aggressive. I think what he's done this season in both games, we've played it tactically. We played him tactically in the Community Shield, stayed in the game at the start. And we did the same here again yesterday, in the fact that we didn't go gung-ho at the start. We sort of we did press in a 4-4-2. We're going to talk about how second half I thought we matched them with the press in against their 2-3-5. We went man-to-man, which gave us, I thought, more of a footing in the game. But I thought in the first half, it was all about control, being concentrated, don't make the errors. I thought Declan Rice, who had an outstanding game, sat back to help Jorginho in the midfield. City, we have to say, changed the way that they played. Obviously, losing Rodri is a massive loss for them. I think when he plays, they only lose 1 in 10. When he doesn't, they lose 1 in 3. And I think that was significant, the booking against Nottingham Forest. And that altered Pep's thinking. He went away from their 4-2-3-1 back to a 4-3-3, where he'd been playing Alvarez behind Haaland with 2 wide players. This time, he wanted, without Rodri, he didn't have a player who can do the job that Rodri does on his own. So he brought Lewis into midfield. And he played Bernardo Silva very, very deep in that first half.
Yeah, we've got him here in what looked like the 6, and when you spend 45 million on Calvin Phillips only a year ago,
I can't believe it.
I don't have much.
He must be wondering what's going on, mustn't he?
Yeah, look, yes, Rodri and De Bruyne were missing. Cool, no one sympathised when we didn't have Jesus for the big game of the year. No one sympathised when we didn't have Saliba in the run-in. Yeah. Quite frankly, you've spent the money, you've got the squad. It's not my problem that you sign Calvin Phillips and decide that he's not good enough suddenly after a year. But let's go into the match stats. Always important to look at. 12 shots for Arsenal to City's 4, 2 on target to their 1, 49% possession to their 51%, so they edged it slightly on that. We just were shy on passes, 483 to their 457, and an XG of 0.65 for them to our 0.42. If we go into the attacking stats now, 38 final third entries to their 38 as well, 38 deep touches to their 24. 18 zone 14 touches to their 10, and a 65% field tilt to their 35%. So let's try and help viewers, and I'm not trying to insult the understanding or intelligence, it's actually for me to try and understand it in my mind as well, how the field tilt can be 65% in favour of Arsenal, but actually we had less possession, we had a lower XG, less passes. How does that work? It's because it's taking into account things like shots and shots on target, and actually what you do with your possession when you're in that final third.
I thought Man City were very loose with their possession in our final third. I think they only passed at something like 50%, whereas their stats across the rest of the pitch were more like 87%. So I think they were wasteful when they got into the final third. And obviously they didn't really create anything, didn't support Haaland, so they lost the ball. So we were getting the ball back, I think. Rodri's brilliant at getting the ball back for them when he plays, and he wasn't playing. And we had Rice next to Jorginho. We were getting the ball back. I think Rice's recoveries in this game was an outstanding feature of his work in the match. And we were recovering the ball better than them. And I thought second half, the field tilt got bigger because when Martinelli arrived, and we're going to talk about Gabriel Martinelli's performance when Trossard went off with a slight hamstring injury. He felt something in his leg, I understand, towards the end of the first half. His aggression, intensity really did help us. And when Rice then able to drive forward more in the second half into that left 8 position, more away from Jorginho, when we moved to that 2-3-5 press, we matched them against their 2-3-5. Then we started to, I think, increase our field tilt because we got more dominant in the game as the game went on. I thought they had the first half an hour and they had a big chance at the start of the game when we didn't clear a corner, and Raya was all at sea a bit in this game. He was very nervous, I think, at the start of the game, Raya, but I will give him credit because I thought he grew into the game, got better as the game went on. They controlled the first half an hour. We then came back into it, but I thought we had the second half.
Someone said it so well. They said, field tilt is to possession what XG is to shots. So you can see how many shots a team had, but XG will give you an idea for the quality of those shots, the quality of those chances. Field tilt gives you an understanding for the quality of possession. I've seen on social media people having their fun mocking the field tilt statistic, but it makes much more sense of the fact that Arsenal were more deserving of the win than Man City. Even though City had more possession, more passes, they didn't do enough with it outside the first 5-10 minutes, whereas Arsenal did look slightly more inventive, slightly more penetrative, slightly more both defences were fantastic for both teams. Actually, we're going to go into the defensive stats now. But field tilt just gives you that bit more context. So actually, Arsenal looked much more likely to do something with the ball, even though City did nullify them quite a lot still.
They did, and I think the game had 0-0 written all over it, if I'll be honest about it. But the significant stat is the Man City didn't have a shot at our goal after the 58th minute. And we were having, I think we had 7 shots to 1 in the second half against them.
Right.
It was a significant upward trend towards us in that second half, and we were pushing. I think Arteta's in-game management was brilliant. The subs, the 4 subs, all had an impact on the goal. And I think the City obviously played their hand first with the changes he made. But I thought Arteta's in-game management in making those subs kept the momentum going towards the end of the game.
Agreed. Let's touch on these defensive stats. Like I mentioned, 20 tackles to their 21, 9 interceptions to their 5, 9 clearances to their 16, and 9.2 passes per defensive action to their 15.2, which actually gives credit to Arsenal's press and willingness to try and win the ball very quickly in that game, something you're used to seeing from Man City. But I love these. You gave some more detail around these defensive stats and the defensive resilience from Arsenal. They had 4 shots in the whole game, as we mentioned, worth just highlighting how impressive it is to reduce the treble winners to 4 shots in a single 90 minutes. The fewest shots they've had in a Premier League game since April 2010. So Guardiola has never seen his side have fewer shots in a game. They had no shot at goal after the 58th minute, which you mentioned, 16 touches in the box and 12 touches in the box after the first 5 minutes. You know, they really struggled to get around Arsenal. It's just credit to our resilience. How much of that is also down to these two, Gabriel and William Saliba, who are immense? And I thought Erling Haaland was just given a nightmare, a 0.00 XG he accumulated from that game because he didn't have a single shot, didn't have a single sight at goal, and I thought Saliba and Gabriel absolutely bullied him in this game.
Well, I think they're a brilliant combination in this game, and I think I saw a stat this morning, they've only been dribbled past once between them this season. I think Saliba was passing at 97%, he won 100% of his duels, won all his duels against Haaland. He pocketed Haaland in this game, albeit Haaland didn't get a lot of service. But I just think they gave us that defensive solidity. I thought Ben White was really good on the right-hand side as well. And I know you were going to make a really great call today because I thought Gabriel Jesus had an absolutely outstanding game on the right-hand side. But I thought the key really first half, the solidity, the concentration, the focus in staying in the game, it was obviously our 2 centre-halves, Gabriel and Saliba, but also Rice playing a really key role here because Jorginho was on a booking very, very early. And I think he's under pressure. That Rice, I think, then dropped back. I think, as you're going to point out, in
should we show let's show the 4-4-2 shape we were in, because you wanted to break down the shapes that we always get into. Now, this was how we started the game. And what was the idea here? To contain City? It felt like a good mid-block. They were struggling to play through us at times outside the first 5
what you're
minutes.
showing here is how we pressed off the ball. They were sort of like, they normally like to build up in their shape is a 4-2-3-1 this season, but it was a 4-3-3 in this game. They like to build up in a 2-3-5. But when we off the ball, we were more 4-4-2 at the start with Odegaard and Nketiah pressing from the front. But I thought Trossard and Jesus were working back, and that was sort of like in a 4. And then we had our 4 defenders there. That was how we started the game up to half time. But I thought second half, there was a definite clear tweak in the way that we started pressing. Trossard came off, Martinelli came on. And I think then we went more man-to-man, James. So when they're, as you're showing here. So we went more man-to-man, 2-3-5. You've got Odegaard and Nketiah still pressing their 2 centre-halves. But if you notice now, you've got Martinelli sort of like pressing onto Lewis, Jesus sort of like moving in here to press on to Kovacic, and Rice was moving on up to Bernardo Silva. And then we've got, I think Jorginho stayed back with the 2 centre-halves against their front 3.
And also this was Arsenal, because when you press as intelligent as Arsenal do, sometimes it will be maybe Rice across to Lewis or Jorginho, they'll mix it up. But what we saw was Arsenal really getting into Man City's faces a lot more, and that was part of reducing, because I think we might have even shown them a little bit too much respect in that first half. Definitely. And then I think Arsenal recognised, you know what, go out there and be a bit braver. If you're not even going to create a load of chances, at least make them uncomfortable.
And you're talking about bravery then, I think what we also saw, because their 5 lanes are their 3 front 3. It was a very narrow 3 at times with Foden, Alvarez and Haaland. Alvarez was shunted more out wide in this game, and Foden was sometimes coming central. But I thought the 5 up high, their 2 fullbacks were the 5. So Walker and
Vardiol and
Walker were the 5. So
getting forward a lot.
Zinchenko was very aggressive with his press onto Walker, and White was onto Vardiol as well. So that was how we pressed. That we were literally pressing against their 2-3-5, matching them man to man, which is a very brave thing to do against Man City. But it worked because it stopped their build-up, James. And then with Martinelli's pace, we didn't have this, his dynamism and his speed. When we were in transition and got the ball, we would get it out to Martinelli quickly. And the moment he came on, he energised the team straight away, James. I noticed it where I was sitting, the crowd were right up for it straight away. His first action, he literally sort of like created something out of nothing. And immediately, I thought the scene was set for the second half because we'd gone man to man, we'd stopped their build-up, and now we were starting to offer that intensity and that threat going forward.
Completely agree. Now, I want to break down this game of chess. I think that is very much my overriding topic for this video. And we've got the Martinelli goal. No, yeah, the Martinelli goal. But let's just hold that for a sec. I'm going to go over to these boards, which I'm going to pull up in a sec. Now, first thing I want to do, I want to talk you through a graphic I'm going to pop up on screen. The first 12 minutes of the game. Arsenal had 31 completed passes to City's 69. They had 2 big chances, we had 0, and we picked up a yellow card for Jorginho. Now, crucially in this game, and actually I'm just going to open this back up. I think what we saw in this was, we saw the usual attacking shape from Arsenal is high and wide wingers, the box-to-box, which was Xhaka last season, coming forward. You've seen all a million times, I always tell you, and Zinchenko would come inside and boom, you've got your back 3 and build up. Now, it's hard to know because 12 minutes of football is such a small amount of time, especially when you barely got the ball because City have started so well. It's such a small amount of time to judge what the plan really was and where they tweaked too much. But I have a feeling that the minute Jorginho picked up this yellow card and Arteta recognised we were being overrun, we saw this tweak. Zinchenko started to come out wide. Rice slotted in closer to Jorginho and build up. And Trossard was starting to pick up the ball in those kind of pockets. Yeah. And actually you saw a lovely switch pass to Jesus, and he was starting to get into those areas to try and support a little bit more. I thought that was clever from Arsenal because I think they realised that if they were to lose the ball in transition, Rice and Jorginho's starting positions are brilliantly. Jorginho doesn't have to overcommit early because he's got Rice next to him, and that is a really nice structure if you lose the ball to have your 3 and your 2 there. Now, a little bit of evidence to try and support what I'm trying to show you here. Sorry, let me just open this back up and go to these boards here. We've got Zinchenko. These are his passes. Look, it's 4 attempted passes in the first 12 minutes. It's very hard to know, but you've got 2 central, you've got 2 out wide. I just wonder whether the fact that it's kind of 50-50 tells you maybe he was looking to come inside a little bit. But what you got, and this supports my point a little bit better, from the, I want to get it right, from the 13th minute to half time, here you are, much more on the left. I mean, you've got 3 passes in those inverted spaces, but every other attempted pass is out on that left side. So clearly something Arsenal attempted there. Then I want to go to, I mentioned Rice coming close to Jorginho. Let me show you this graphic. Yeah, that's the one I want to go next. Let me show you this graphic. From minute 13 to half time, things then started to balance out. No big chances for either team in that time, but 147 completed passes for Arsenal to Man City's 157. Not as overwhelmingly in City's favour as it was before. 0 yellow cards to their 2. They picked up 2 yellows. We know it should have been a red for Kovacic twice, by the way. And we had 3 shots there once. And the momentum swung. And that little tweak from Arteta in game, make sure Rice was close to Jorginho, was his first chess move. That was his first, I think, big ploy to kind of mix up when he felt the first 12 minutes were going against us, and we know Ake should have scored and Rice clears off the line and all that. Then the Martinelli sub, which we have illustrated, we showed Martinelli came on for Trossard. And now from half time to minute 60, I'll show you these numbers. Arsenal completed 74 passes to City's 64, 14 attacking third passes to their 10, and then we had 2 shots to their 1. Suddenly, you're looking at it, and Arsenal have started really well in these 15 minutes. Martinelli's come on at half-time, had the desired effect, and after weathering the first 12 minutes, and then making us up at half-time, Arsenal well and truly got control of this match. But Pep Guardiola is also a genius. He makes his move. We see Alvarez come off, we see Lewis come off, and we see Kovacic come off. His move is to bring on Doku. He comes out on the right, has no luck against Zinchenko. Fair play to Zinni, who did his thing. Nunes comes on, and then I believe Bernardo Silva moves out slightly, and we see Stones come on in the number 6. Now, what impact did this have for Man City? It swung the momentum again. Here's some stats. Minute 61 to 74. 50 completed passes for Arsenal to Man City's 83. Suddenly they've got more of the ball again. 10 attacking third passes to their 20. Far more for them. They've got control. Arsenal had 3 shots in that spell. But what I'm going to do is show you. Thank you all for bearing with me. It's a long process I'm taking you through. But I'm going to show you the shots we had. Nothing to shout home about. Nothing, none on target. Nothing, not causing Edison any problems. City have got control at that point. But then what happens? We are going to go back to this board here. Tomiyasu, Havertz, Partey all come on. They come on for, I can't remember, but Havertz goes up top. Tomiyasu goes left.
Tomiyasu comes on for Zini, Havertz comes on
it.
for Nketiah, and Partey comes on for Jorginho.
That's right. Thank you very much. And then the final 15 or 20 minute stats. 97 passes completed for Arsenal to City 63, 42 attacking third passes for Arsenal to City 8. That is a massive difference, and a shot which leads to the goal, which we'll break down in a sec. But I just think the breakdown of the stats from all those clusters of minutes just tells you how each manager made certain changes that swung the game in their favour, and then they had to do something to react and bring it back. And I thought it was tactically fascinating, Graham.
It was, and I think that I'm looking at that Arsenal finishing 11, and I actually think that looks stronger than the team we actually started with.
Completely agree.
Havertz has taken a lot of criticism, but I think playing in this position where he's a target man, and we saw it in the Community Shield how good he was against City on that day. I thought he was very influential when he came on, not just for his assist, but I thought that he was giving problems to their centre halves. We were able to go long more, and Partey's brilliant at that. That was an absolutely brilliant ball we played up. God knows what Tomiyasu's doing up here.
I know. And he did it a few times as well.
Yeah, but he gets up there and gets the nod down. But I think the
target man Tomiyasu.
Yeah, and then to Martinelli. And if you don't buy a ticket, you don't win the lottery. And we've been accused in the past of not shooting enough. He takes the shot. He gets the luck off Ake, admittedly. But I think it deserved the fact that we were pressing, and I think the changes did work. And I thought overall, the team shape in that last 20 minutes was right.
I agree. Let's break down the goal. So Thomas Partey picks up this area, and he is, in my opinion, and we are going to give Declan Rice all the credit in the world, I still believe our best passing 6, progressive 6, the one who gets us playing, I still believe in that squad is Thomas Partey.
Yeah.
More so than Jorginho, more so than Rice. And by the way, there is no better set of 6s in world football in one squad, in my opinion, than Partey, Rice and Jorginho. But Partey plays this ball, and it's an inspired run from Tomiyasu, who nods it into Havertz. He does really well to look after it and rolls it in to Martinelli, and then there's just that deflected effort off Ake. But this run that we see made by Tomiyasu into this space here, he did it a few times. So it was clearly a plan. And it draws Walker inside, and then Martin's got the space for the shot. Fair play to Havertz, he did well in that goal as well.
He did, and I thought he had when he came on, I thought he had a really good, strong finish to the game. And I thought he offered us a different dynamic to Eddie. I thought Eddie didn't really have a great performance in the game, if I'm honest. And I would have started Havertz in this game. I said when I was discussing it with my friends pre-game, I would have started with Havertz, but obviously Mikel went with Eddie. But I thought Havertz, in both games against Man City, has been influential. He was influential in the Community Shield. Hasn't lost a game against Man City.
No.
And of course he scored against them in the Champions League final. But I thought Arteta's tweaks in this game, as you said, responding to what Pep did, won us the game. Yeah,
I agree. Let's talk about a few other things around I was about to say dominance. It's not that we dominated, it's that we had control of some really key statistical areas. So you mentioned it earlier that they only averaged a 51 pass completion in Arsenal's final third. The fact that in the second half we had 7 shots to their 1, and that in the second half as well, City only had 8 touches in the box and 65 final third touches. Sorry, I don't think that was just second half. I think that was in the game overall. Like we said, it was as much about the inspired, all 4 subs combining to get the goal, as much as it was shutting down City and recognising, right, Doku's come on, Tomiyasu, here you go. And evolving constantly, but to limit City in that way is brilliant.
I think what you've seen over the last, since the start of this season, I think we're getting closer to Man City. And I think when the two teams play each other now, they know they're the best. You know, I know Liverpool fans might disagree, and you know, rightly so, that they've got a strong side. But I think these two teams realise that I think the games against each other are really important now, and the way they're playing the games is almost like tactically. You see it when Arsenal have the ball, City drop. When City have the ball, Arsenal drop. It is, as you quite rightly said, almost like a game of chess. And who's going to sort of like? There's going to be very limited free-flowing football, like when these teams normally like to play in these sort of games. They're going to be tight, cagey affairs now. And that, I think, shows how far we've come now, and the fact that we're getting that respect from Man City. Even without Bukayo Saka, even with a few injuries, albeit they had injuries as well, it was two teams, total respect between two teams in that game. It was a hard-fought, resilient game between two teams who... It was a battle, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And it was fascinating to watch. Yeah. Let's go through some standout players. You're going to take two of them, I'll take one of them. In fact, let's get these starting 11s back on the screen so we can just remind ourselves of the starting players. But you wanted to go for our sub, Martinelli. Let's get him on the pitch. Where is he? There he is. Who came on, and he was the first sub, and this was the team that started the second half. A pass accuracy of 86%, 3 ground duels won, 2 dribbles completed, 2 shots on target, 1 key pass, and 1 goal, as illustrated in that graphic there. He was just brilliant, 1 impact.
He was, and I think that going into the game without Saka and Martinelli, my only real fear, as good as Jesus was on that side, actually covering for Saka, we haven't got the pace of these two players, the raw pace that they offer. And when Gabby came on, the speed, the dynamism, the whole mood changed the moment he came on. And what I love about him is that he said to Mikel Arteta in the week, I'm going to be fit for this City game. They were worried about playing him in this game because he'd had a hamstring injury at Everton. It's only been 3 weeks or so since the Everton game, or 3 to 4 weeks. They didn't think he would be ready. He was determined to play a part. And when he found out that Trossard was struggling in the game, he went up to Arteta, apparently said, boss, I want to get on that pitch and play. Yeah. And he literally came on. The moment he came on, he energised the team, he energised the crowd. The speed, he had, as I say, a 1 or 2 passing straight away. City had a different person to deal with. And he offered that threat now, sort of running in behind as well. And I thought he was also coming inside a lot when players were going outside. He was difficult for City to pick up. I thought he had an outstanding performance. Clearly, not only was he the matchman, I thought he influenced the game. A brilliant performance by Gabby Martin.
Yeah, and you wanted to mention Declan Rice here in the middle of the park. Wow. Pass accuracy of 90%, 4 ground duels won, 3 interceptions, 3 tackles won, 2 key passes, 2 out of 3 long balls completed, and 2 clearances, as you can see by that brilliant graphic there. He was just sublime.
Do you know what?
Sublime.
He was. We talked about in the first half when he sat next to Jorginho to see Jorginho through a difficult period in the game. He offers that. And he also offered going forward in the number 8 role, second half. He was the one pushing up the pitch, pressing on to Silva. The thing I thought that stood out for me was, and Man City missed Rodri in this game. Rodri is very good at recovering the ball for them, getting the ball back for them. Rice, his legs, how many times did he get tackles in, vital tackles in? And he recovered the ball on, I don't know how many occasions he recovered it then, the numbers you've got there.
You've put 3 interceptions, 3 tackles.
Yeah. But
4 ground duels won.
Yeah, he was winning his duels, he was tackling, getting the ball back. I think this is a sort of, the Man United game, the Man City game, these are sort of games he's getting us over the line in. He's come into this team and he's making a difference. And I thought he had an outstanding performance.
Now, I think Declan Rice could easily have been man of the match. He was my second for me. And listen, everyone's disagreed. Some people have gone Declan Rice. Some people rightly gone Saliba and Gabriel, who was immense. Ben White was fantastic. Look, it feels wrong to even leave any players out because, they were all fantastic and played their part. Gabby Jesus, for me, was my man of the match. I'm going to break down why. Here are his match stats from the game. 6 tackles attempted, ranked first across both teams' players, not just Arsenal, that is Man City as well. That is the match ranking. 10 dribbles attempted, more than any other player. 4 fouls. And by the way, people go, fouls, is that a good thing? Breaking up play, doing it cleverly, because I didn't even notice he fouled them 4 times. That is being smart. That is in-game management. He ranked first for that. 7 touches in the opposition box first, more than any other player. 30 passes in the final third, more than any Arsenal or City player. 22 duels, more than any Arsenal or City player. Second for blocks with 3 there. And 4th for touches. Now, touches are normally, racked up by centre-backs, or DM, or whatever, central players. To rank 4th across both teams for touches with 75 shows how involved he was. His work rate was unbelievable. He was constantly... People say Vardy had a fantastic game. I don't disagree. Defensively, City were fantastic. But I saw something on Twitter saying that Vardy pocketed Jesus. No, because that does a disservice. That might say something about that battle, which I thought was fascinating, but it does a disservice to everything Jesus did, coming inside to help keep us narrow and make sure that we were condensed in that area of the pitch, dropping in to help Ben White, where the battle wasn't regarding Vardy. He did so much, Jesus. He was far from pocketed. He had an enormous influence from the right wing, and influences tend to come centrally. The Rice as well, the Odegaard stringing passes together, a striker dropping in to link up play. But Jesus was instrumental and was a driving force for us, and I loved his performance. Man of the match for me.
Yeah, look, I think he was absolutely superb in the game. The only thing that worried me when I saw that, and that people have talked about that he can play on the right side, he can, but he normally comes to the right side from a central position. You lose, what I was worried about is when you have this sort of dynamic, you've got Ben White coming on the outside, if I can just get Odegaard up there. Yeah. And then you have Saka. Imagine Jesus is Saka for a minute. Yeah. And then you've got like this three. This is like this combination up high on the right-hand side of Saka, Odegaard and White has been the key strength of the team for me. So I was really worried that we would lose that. And probably we didn't get the combinations that we were used to. But my, oh my, what a performance Gabriel Jesus played in this game. He was a real handful for Vardy in this game. A real handful. He battled for every ball. And also he got back and helped the team defensively in the press. I thought he was absolutely superb in this game. And I agree with you, he was close to... I would have given the man of the match to Rice, but I think he was very close. Mm-hmm. And I thought he had an absolutely brilliant performance. Yeah, big players stepping up. You love to see it. Now, we're going to... He had a point to prove against Man City. Oh, that's true. That's absolutely true. Now, we're going to end on your fantastic roundup stats, which have been sorely missed on the show. But before we do... I have to get a line from you on the PGMOL. I'm not going to say much more because in a line, I want them all gone. I want the whole thing completely reformatted, restructured. I want a new refereeing body. I think they're a disgrace. I think we need a new, more diverse group of referees. I think we need a complete and utter reform of the way that referees and refereeing is operated in this country. Over to you, Graham. Wow. Well, obviously I'm in the stadium yesterday and when I saw that tackle, first thing was it looked bad, right? And then when I saw the images at half time, I realised what it was. That tackle was straight through the back of the player. You can't tackle like that in the modern game. Studs up, Achilles. He had to get the ball, he had to go through the player. Now, I grew up in the 70s, and that's the type of tackles I used to see watching football in the 70s. They are no longer fit for the modern game, are they? That is a straight... And rightly so. Yeah, rightly so. That is a straight red all day. He literally went through the back of the player to get the ball. Now, not only is Michael Oliver not given a straight red, they reviewed it and decided that it wasn't a straight red. But albeit that was wrong, and then he's on a yellow, and then a second tackle, which was a bookable offence. So he should have gone, absolutely should have gone. Shocking decision by a referee who gave Gabby Martinelli 2 yellow cards at Wolves 2.5 years ago, one for stopping a throw in 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes there, if he'd done his job properly, he would have taken the City player off the pitch. For me, it was a straight red. The moment I saw it at half time, I thought, wow, how has he got away with that? Kovacic should have been sent off twice. I thought it was once again crap by the officials, crap by VAR, crap from everyone involved. I thought it was crap from Kovacic actually. I thought, when Man City, look, even though they are awful, the officials or whatever, I think more often than not, I actually think the official would spot that. Yeah. He got away with it, and I thought he looked so amateurish throughout the game. Kovacic, the way he was flying into tackles and just, even Bernardo Silva made a big tackle. I don't think it was a red. He got a yellow rightly, but it was a really high foot, and nowhere near the ball. And I thought they looked really quite amateurish, City, in the way they were struggling to get stuck into Arsenal, and they were very lucky to end the game with 11 men on the pitch. But I'm glad they did, because then there's no excuses. Yep. We had Saka, Martinelli, Partey out. Yep. You had De Bruyne, Rodri out. So, both teams went in hampered with injuries. 11v11, we beat you. Delighted. You just can't tackle. Well, the final thing, you just can't tackle like that in the modern game. No, and you can't go through the back of someone. It's serious, dangerous foul play, and it's a red card all day long. I agree. And then the other thing I make the point of, when he made the second tackle on Rice, what I disliked was the way he looked at Rice and said, "Come on, get up, didn't they? Almost
they did a lot of that,
and I just think that was disgusting.
They did a lot of that. I think was it? I don't want to get it wrong. Was it Foden? Maybe it wasn't Foden, but someone came over towards Odegaard and was sort of like, come on, and it was just like. Listen, I don't think they'll be. I
nearly said
proud.
that you should let the referee the game, but what's the point? So at the end of the day, they got away with it, but but in the end, we got the luck.
Justice prevailed.
Justice prevailed. We got the luck of the deflection.
Go on, your round-up stats. Sorely missed.
I missed these actually, James.
Yeah, I've missed them as well.
Arsenal ended a run of 15 games without a win in this Premier League fixture. Drawn 2, lost 13, losing each of the last 12 in a row, as we've said, beating City for the first time since December 2015 when we beat them 2-1 at the Emirates. I think Theo Walcott got a goal that day, didn't he?
Olivier Giroud as well.
Olivier Giroud, yeah, and Yaya Toure scored their goal.
Very good goal it was.
Arsenal won a game against the Premier League's reigning champions for the first time since April 2017 when they beat the reigning champions of the previous year. Do you know that reigning champions was around 2015-16? Surprise package.
Hold on. Leicester
City, yeah. Arsenal are yet to lose a game in the Premier League this season. They've won 6, drawn 2. Last going on a longer unbeaten run at the start of the campaign in 2007-8 when we had an unbeaten run of 15 games. And finally, James, Arsenal's current record when Gabriel Martinelli scores a goal is 24 wins and 5 draws. And I have to credit Harvey Downs for that stat on Twitter. I just want to add one final thing for our close today. And that is, I want to say a big thank you to Nick Francis, who stood in for me. He was like, I was sort of like Aaron Ramsdale in America, watching David Raya come in for that show and thinking, what's Robbie Arteta going to do? Is he going to keep Raya in? Because I thought Nick was absolutely outstanding. I'm subscribed to his YouTube channel. Yeah, so whatever you do, go and subscribe to Nick. And I'd like to work with Nick and you sometime. Because
we'll do a special.
Nick was absolutely brilliant, mate.
He was fantastic. We'll do a special. It's something we definitely want to do, is actually get the sofas out and do a proper, a real big setup and really just talk about what Arsenal are doing tactically, because I think they're more fascinating than ever under Mikel Arteta.
It's been great to come back from America and great to come back and see Arsenal win. I mean, I loved it yesterday. The whole day, I missed it so much. That's why, as much as I was thinking to myself when I was in America, I could live in Washington, it's such a beautiful city, I couldn't though, because I wouldn't be able to watch Arsenal.
No, and it is at the heart of everything we do.
Yeah.
Graham, it is so great to have you back. I really enjoyed this breakdown. I really hope all of you have as well. A really, really big win for Arsenal, who needed to overcome a psychological barrier. I would say nothing was decided in this game regarding the title race, but there was so much to gain from Arsenal for Arsenal in terms of belief going into the end of the season. And my word, did they get it? Not just because they got, a 1-0 win, a deflected effort and all that. What they did was they completely and utterly nullified Man City. Arteta learned that he can tactically outdo Pep. He's done it in the odd cup game and Community Shield if you want to bring that up. But look, to do it in the league, massive, massive achievement. Well done. And for the Arsenal team as well, to look at those 11 Man City players on the pitch and go, we're going to be physically better than you, we're going to be technically better than you, we're going to be tactically better than you, and show that across 90 minutes is a massive psychological boost. So well done to the team. We now got a 2-week international break, which I normally hate, but I think this is just the result you want, to just sit and stew in a little bit before we come back for Chelsea away. The big games come thick and fast. We'll be back for that as well. Graham, welcome home. Everyone, hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, check out all the reaction content that's been coming out on AFTV, and we'll see you very, very soon.